Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Lormis.
We are so back.
So back.
Happy.
Aiden's literally back. He woke up this morning in Rochester, New York.
I did, and then I drove for, it would have been 6 hours. Made it 5.5.
I don't want to know how, and I think it's best for you if we don't explain how.
Time warp.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bubble. The Philadelphia experiment. They got it right, and they put it in Aiden's Camaro.
Yes.
Um,
Actually, Cat's Volkswagen
that
Golf,
makes it
so.
even better that it
Yeah.
was in a Volkswagen Golf. Oh boy, yeah. So I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. I'm not sure if Hanukkah is still happening, but Christmas is over.
Hanukkah
Well,
is
if we're doing the 12 days of Christmas thing, it's still 12 days of Christmas.
I always thought it was the 12 days leading up to Christmas.
No, that was ABC Family's 12 days of Christmas.
That's ABC Family's 25 days of Christmas.
Now, sure, is it always been 25?
Oh, yeah.
I thought
ABC Family's 25 Days of Christmas.
And
This
it's
Friday,
all Harry
Prisoner
Potter.
of Azkaban.
Just all Harry Potter. Harry
Yeah.
Potter. This was the reason we made a Harry Potter video last year, is that Harry Potter has become a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I think it was like 6 out of the 8 movies involve Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know why specifically, though, ABC Family decided, oh, yeah, all of the Harry Potter. Probably because
I think
when
it
we
was
were
an
growing
ownership
up,
thing when we were growing up. I think Warner Brothers owned ABC.
it also makes sense purely from the perspective of how
No,
popular
ABC's
they were.
Disney. Has it always been Disney?
It was probably Warner, then got sold
Maybe,
to Disney.
yeah.
But, I mean, they were so popular at the time
yeah.
that, you know.
Also, I mean, ABC Family was like what you watched.
Yeah.
There were less channels, folks.
Yeah.
There were a lot less channels and no streaming services.
Did you watch it other than the holidays, though?
When they came out, yeah. Like, we would go to the theater to see them.
No. Sorry, I meant ABC Family.
No.
Yeah. It's weird. Everybody just started watching it in December, and then as soon as January hit, it's back to Disney and Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
No, I did think, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, and I do have some important things to say about this upcoming Friday's episode, because it is going to be an update on the Sebastian Rogers case, and I'll start it here, because we don't really need to talk about our Christmases. I just wanted to brag. I got a revolver that typically goes for like $1,200 for less than $600 at a gun show. It's on my hip right now, but for YouTube reasons, I can't show it. I'm breaking in I ordered just shout out. This is not a paid thing at all. I ordered a holster for it, a genuine leather holster from, I'm going to look it up really quickly. I want to make sure I get the name of the seller right.
This is easily the most exciting gift he got in terms of
Yeah.
the reaction that he's had to it.
Oh, I love this thing. I also got some really great gifts from my family and my girlfriend and everything, but this was good Christmas. But yeah, Whitegate leather on Etsy. I mean, you can see this thing. It is,
Yep.
it's not ornate. It's not over the top. It's just a solid, functional, high quality leather holster. It's real leather, real fasteners. It fits really snugly. I didn't even need to like finagle it. Didn't need to oil it up or anything to get the revolver to fit. Just fit right in. Golden. I'm very satisfied. I actually placed an order for a cartridge belt from the same seller today. And if the cartridge belt that I got does not fit me, I will give it to you as a gift.
Hurrah! It's cowboy time all around at the lodge.
It is cowboy time at the lodge. Smith & Wesson, hit me up. I'm really, really a fan of your guns. I have 3 of them. And I'm going to be upgrading my rifle to also be a Smith & Wesson.
I'm surprised you're not going to go Henry.
Well, my semi.
Oh, gotcha.
Gotta have the pew pew, that AR-10 and 308. Just watch Brandon Herrera do a review of the SIG, the new, God, is it the Spear? I think the MCX Spear. Yeah. It's a sweet looking gun. It had some problems. Like the charging handle is really stiff, and he kept over inserting the magazine. Because I don't know how much experience you have with firing AR platform rifles.
Not much.
But a lot of the time when you slide the magazine up, you pop it with your hand.
Okay.
To make sure it's seated properly. Like my Ruger, I have this problem sometimes. I will put the magazine in, I will, pull the charging handle back, everything's good to go, and then the magazine falls out.
I'm just imagining whether you're in a situation in which you need reliability for, general reasons, or even just at the range.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a poor safety feature.
It's a common issue with AR platform rifles, from what I've seen. It is easily fixed by you insert the magazine and you pop it once with your hand. It's just if you forget to do that it can be a problem.
Got it.
You only really forget to do that once.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because you're like, where'd it go?
Yeah.
It's like that's not supposed to happen. But I really like Smith & Wesson's AR-10.
In terms of guns, my favorite Christmas present was the present I gave my mother.
Oh, what was it?
Which was MetaQuest 3S. And I ended up downloading Pavlov, which was the game we played with Wendigoon. And that was entertaining because I was doing a thing of like different waves of enemies.
Yeah.
And if you haven't used a VR like first-person shooter game, you actually have to like do all of the hand movements like in the game, not just buttons. It's like you're actually pulling back the slide and, changing the mags and things like that. I will say, man,
your mom's surprisingly good at it?
No, I was the only one who played, but I forgot just how important it is to really be good at your mag drills.
Oh, yeah.
Because, oh my lord, with the one game version I was playing, or game setting or whatever, was just waves of enemies coming at you. And it's like they start you with a 1911 and that's it. So you've got 8 rounds and you got to change.
Yep.
And wow, it would be like done. I'm trying here, and then I look up and there's 3 guys pointing guns.
Yeah, I remember trying to do it with Isaiah. It was not easy.
Yeah, no, not at all.
He was scary good at it.
Yep.
He is terrifyingly good at that game. It makes sense, but still. Anyway, also it's weird when you're lefty.
Yeah, especially with the way the game was set up. Yeah.
I had to figure that one out. But anyway, we have an actual topic to talk about tonight. And that is, we have a Sebastian Rogers update video coming. There are some differences from how our content has worked in the past. We have never done this before, actually. So when I was writing the video for this upcoming week, as you guys can imagine, writing and shooting a video the week of Christmas was not an ideal situation. It never is. It was not last year. It will not be in the future. And this time of year, our videos do not do very well in general.
Except for apparently Fridays.
Well, except for apparently Fridays. I'm still just at such a loss.
Considering how most...
This happens once a year, by the way.
Yeah, considering how most of the Bigfoot videos have gone in the last year.
I think so. I title it Feral People.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like we were shocked. All of our videos have done generally not as well as we would have liked in the last month or so. That one's the best one we've had since like mid-November. We have no idea why.
Yeah, we're very confused, but hey, whatever. It's good news.
We'll take it.
But yeah, so because I had a shorter week and I was struggling to find a topic that I could devote the kind of attention to that I really like to, I was like, all right, what if I cover something we've already covered that has, maybe some updates to it? And Sebastian Rogers was the thing that fit. There are not, interestingly enough, it seems like things are speeding up at the moment since we shot the video. Which... So who knows, maybe in the next couple of months there will be a full Sebastian Rogers, everything we've learned since August video. From what I was seeing, there wasn't a ton, but there are a few developments that I cover in that video. And then, so that we weren't just giving you guys like a 20 to 30 minute video, we decided we're going to tag on the entire series into the video. So it is one very long, probably about 3 hours long, documentary on Sebastian Rogers that starts with sort of a summary of the case, which also goes over the updates. And so, what I wanted to say is if you are a regular viewer and you're going, well, I've already seen that. First of all, the update is worth it. There is new information. But also, if you could watch the whole thing, or at least leave it on, we'd appreciate it. We don't want YouTube to hate us. I know that's maybe a little a weird request, but that is that's what I'd like for Christmas from you guys. is don't abandon ship immediately after chapter 1 of the video ends. I don't think there's going to be a ton in the way of serious updates. Aiden's, gonna do his best with editing. Maybe we'll get some more overlays and stuff and make it look prettier. But
yeah, that's the thing is I wanted to. The idea wasn't just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do this, slap the beginning on, take care of all that, and then we'll just like let you rewatch the whole thing again. No, I wanted to try and improve some of those previous elements. I'm not gonna do like a ton. But I want to make sure.
Also, like, we'll take out the Riley Strain update segment of the timeline video.
Yeah, it'll just be a longer but more not precise but focused version of the Sebastian Rogers case.
Yeah, and I'm sure as you're going through it, you might come across stuff that you're like, this is redundant. This gets covered in the next one. Blah blah blah. Like, there might be some changes.
Did you have a title for it yet?
I haven't thought of one yet.
I just thought of one. I want to run it by you. What? I also want to run it by the audience. Just basically everything we know about Sebastian Rogers in 2024.
That's kind of what I wanted to do.
Yeah, because then, considering it's the end of 2024, anything new that happens,
we can cover in a later video.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the interesting developments, and I'm going to pull up the tweet really quick because I was like, wait a minute. Oh, that reminds me, I need to post Drunk Folklore. I still haven't done that. It'll go up this week. Maybe.
Someone said I'm an irregular viewer. One arm is longer than the other. That was great.
All right. So I never thought that I'd be looking up Dog the Bounty Hunter. He follows me.
No way. I mean...
That's got to be an as of the last 20 minutes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Looking for it.
Man, we live a weird life.
Somebody goes, the mashup I didn't know I wanted till now. Oh, boy.
Was it on your personal or the Lore Lodge?
No, Lore Lodge. Yeah, Lore Lodge Twitter. Lore Lodge Twitter's a trip. Lore Lodge Twitter is mostly me arguing with conspiracy theorists.
Well, I don't think I've ever tweeted a single tweet from the Lore Lodge.
You have
Twitter.
not. It is entirely me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly me arguing with conspiracy theorists and correcting people's bad takes about Christianity from both Christians and non-Christians.
Another question I had. I was reminded of certain mega church pastors that have like several jets, like private jets and whatnot. Would we ever consider doing a video on like Christian grifting?
Oh, that would be a delicate topic. I'll think about it. I don't think it's a bad idea because there are definitely some out there who you're like, come on, you call yourself a pastor and you're worth $7 million.
That's the thing is the other thing is like all of the absolute hypocrisy of people like saying things that are just blatantly not Christian at all.
It drives me insane.
Coming from a generally like agnostic, raised Catholic guy, it's just like everyone I see attack Christians
is always attacking those ones.
Well, not
always, but a lot of the time.
They're usually not Christians themselves.
Yeah.
So they come at it with like, oh, well, this is just a prime example of how stupid religion is.
Exactly. Meanwhile, like 99% of Christians are sitting here going, oh my God, shut up.
And that's the thing.
Shut up.
That's the thing. I think it'd be an interesting perspective to have a true Christian who cares about the faith look at the people who are...
That might be solid for like Weird Bible too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, actually cite the Bible verses that are like about not doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, and that one I can also cover John and Patsy Ramsey's fake Christianity.
Yeah, let's go over that.
One of the things I hate most about those two, aside from the fact that, in my opinion, they killed their daughter. But allegedly. But speaking of allegedly, Chris Proudfoot. He one of the things you're going to come across in this update is him tripping over himself a few more times. Not necessarily in the sense that I covered in the first series.
I was going to say, have they done more interviews?
That he has. Chris Proudfoot cannot keep his mouth shut, and it's so funny. The video makes comparisons between John Ramsey and Chris Proudfoot. Specifically, Chris Proudfoot is not smart enough. He is not as smart as John Ramsey. John Ramsey's a smart man. You have to be. If he did what I think he did, you got to be smart to get away with it. The problem is that Chris Proudfoot is a moron. I mean, this guy might be one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak. He's one of those people who, he's not actually that stupid. It's just he's got such bad Dunning-Kruger that it makes him stupid.
Yeah.
Like, he goes from being average to, like, Yuba County 5 because of his inability to shut up. There are a few specific things that I go over in the new video, and then I want to go through some of these newer interviews as well. I firmly believe that Chris Proudfoot will talk himself into a corner. Katie just hired a lawyer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's actually not in the video because it just happened. Like, I don't believe that if that had been, maybe I just missed it, but I don't think that was news yet.
I will say my really was partial surprise at hiring a lawyer, more so surprised that it took her this long.
Like I said, these aren't smart people. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff, so there is now CCTV footage of them in the Texas Roadhouse. There is some court TV stuff. A former FBI agent, Jennifer Coffindaffer, she has a copy of the full video, the full footage, and she said some interesting things on court TV about what she saw and some of the unreleased stuff. And of course, I don't think I said this in the video. Oh yeah, I did say it in the video. Hey, if you've got that kind of stuff, stop keeping it to yourself. Like, what if you put that out there and someone goes, oh, wait a second, that's my uncle who was there that night. I can ask him if he saw anything weird. Yeah, stop hoarding it.
Oh, you're specifically talking about the security footage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, any footage like that related to this. But what drives me insane, because, you know, we've never done this, is when we come across footage of something, we put it in the video so people can see it. Or we link to it. We tell people where we found it, you know? Like,
yeah, the only reason that I won't put anything in a video is copyright if it's too graphic,
yes,
or if I just couldn't find it.
Yeah, so I mean, when we get the chance, we put the relevant footage into our video so that we're not being like, I have something you don't have. And I get it to some extent. No, I don't, because this is how we make our living too.
Well, also, like what you said not long ago,
directed just at Coffindaffer. This is the whole industry.
Yeah, but what you said not long ago, like in a live that we did, and what you've said multiple times in Discord is like, we like to crowdsource investigations if possible.
Oh yeah, there have been a few times where I've been like, I have been digging for this and I cannot find it. I'll go to the Discord and ask if anybody else can find it, because they might not be able to. But it's better to ask in case someone does.
Yeah.
So no, I wish people would just do the right thing with it instead of keeping it themselves. I know sometimes they think they're doing it for the right reason. I know law enforcement has this idea that the general public can't be trusted with things like that. But the fact of the matter is, it has been 10 months, and the police don't know what happened.
If it's something that would allow potential suspects to then find a way to work that detail into an alibi,
then I get it.
Yeah, then it makes sense.
In this case, they're in the video.
Yeah.
So all you're doing by releasing only a small portion of it is people are going to say, oh, well, that was edited to, make it look worse. Which, granted, like, you look at the video and there are some weird things. Katie at one point is like looking around the room, looking like she's looking for somebody, and for longer than you might look for the waiter. Like, when you're at a restaurant and you can't find your waiter, you go, where's my waiter? Like, for like a second and a half, and you're like, they'll come by. Now, granted, Katie herself might be on the spectrum. So, in fact, I wouldn't be shocked if she was, based on everything that came out through those three episodes, how she behaves, some of her mannerisms, just weird. Not weird in like, in her case in a negative way, but I don't mean to say that autism is weird, just like, there's stuff that's off about her, and you're like, what's going on here? And knowing Sebastian is as well, it's possible. Autism can be heritable. So, yeah, I don't want to give too much away about what is in the video, but I wanted to get into kind of what I was talking about with the thumbnail of this and the title, Look at the Parents. Because as I was looking through all of the Sebastian Rogers material, the thing that I kept coming back to is I was like, how? At no point did they really look at the parents. Because there's so many parallels with JonBenet Ramsey. And this isn't even me saying that John and Patsy did it. I think they're responsible. I think they know exactly what happened that night, and they're just not coming forward about it. Because it either implicates them or implicates Burke. I was under the impression that the mistakes made by the police, of which there were many, everybody dogs on the police in this case. For the most part, it is undeserved. But there are a few things that the police, just common sense, should have known better.
You're still talking about JonBenet, right?
Yeah. But my understanding was that that case led to a lot of changes in standard operating procedure. That the errors made during the JonBenet Ramsey initial investigation were then fixed, or at least they attempted to fix them. But I look at JonBenet and, nobody was really properly recording police movements throughout the house. The parents were kind of allowed to be out of sight. The call comes in around the same time in the morning. The family had the house professionally cleaned not long after this happened. There's just, point after point after point after point. Apparently even though Katie works for, it wasn't ADT, was it?
I think it was.
Brinks. It was Brinks.
Oh, yeah.
So even though Katie works for Brinks Home Security and has a Brinks van that sits in their driveway that she oddly would not, was cagey about telling people. She was like, I don't know if we can say what kind of van it was. And it's like, I went in and I found the exact van. It was like a Dodge something. And I posted, I was like, this is what Brinks uses. It's uniform. Why would you not just say that? You're lying because you think you have things to hide. Because at this point and that's the other thing, with the Ramseys, they had attorneys immediately, which granted, I can understand that the advice is typically lawyer up if you might be a suspect. The problem with them is that they kept refusing to do interviews even with their attorneys present. We haven't even got to that part yet, guys. 4 months.
I was going to say, have we really not?
Almost 5. Yeah, 4 whole... it was a full 4 months. It was April 30th. We are through December 31st. The JonBenet series is not over yet, but it's just not going to be every week.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be once a month until we get through it. And then we'll switch to a different cold case, probably Madeleine McCann. That was, the other one people have heavily requested. And then we're also going to do a conspiracy theory or urban legend. We're going to do a missing persons case, like a missing 411. And then I'm not sure what the 4th category will be, but we'll just kind of be alternating topics a little bit more. It'll be a little bit more structured and planned out. So hopefully you guys are getting more variety and don't get tired of one specific topic. But, back to what I was saying here, the Ramseys had lawyers. And so those lawyers, were advising them on what to say, advising them on, when to talk to the police, when not to talk to the police. The Proudfoots didn't have that. Anything they weren't saying was because they thought they shouldn't say it. This was not expert advice. This was their consciences. And I think that is an important factor in reading them, in watching their interviews, in trying to understand where they're coming from with the various things that they say, because it's not like the Ramseys. But in almost every other way, it's like the Ramseys. I mean, there is so much about this, but that's what I was saying. Katie works for Brinks. She knows how home security systems work. She knows the value of one. She knows how to install them. In fact, it doesn't even appear that they don't have one, because all they would ever say is that there were no security cameras watching the outside of the house. Nina Gomez, of course, Chris's ex-wife, who still shares a daughter with him, that daughter has custody, which means that they go to court together. They know what is in each other's homes in terms of security. This is a custody battle. That is gonna be an argument made by lawyers. It's gonna be, how do you know that Nina is capable of keeping the child safe? How do you know that Chris is capable of keeping the child safe? If they have in-home cameras, they're gonna mention it. They're gonna be like, well, we have security. He's only allowed, to text these people on his phone, like various things like that, especially with a child like this. And also, let's be realistic, with a child who has the problem Sebastian has, because he's not just autistic, he has this genetic disorder with fluid on his brain too. I would be utterly astonished if Katie didn't work for Brinks. It would be a different story. She works for Brinks, or at least did when this all happened. I don't know if she still does. I would be astonished if they didn't have in-home security. I'd be willing to bet that it's actually offered to Brinks employees for free. I haven't looked into it, but I would bet that if you're a technician, they want you to have your own system so you know how it works intimately. It's in your home. You're interacting with every day. I can't say for sure they have one, but all the evidence seems to suggest they have an in-home security system with cameras that would be able to show the interior of the house. And of course, where are you going to have those cameras pointed?
In places where people are.
And in doors and windows. entryways to the home so that you know who's going in and coming out. You know if anybody was peeking in. You know what's going on inside. Keep in mind, Faith is a small child. It makes sense they'd have monitoring for her too. And they've never, to my knowledge, they have never said there aren't security cameras in the home. Now, the police have, as far as I understand, I believe reviewed that footage if it exists, but I've also not seen anything from the police saying they've done so.
I was going to say, has anybody even asked them whether or not they have them in the home?
I asked a bunch of questions that were not answered by the police. I'm frustrated about that.
I meant more like, is anybody in an interview with one of the Proudfoots asked?
Yes, and what they say is like that they're not going to answer that question, or they won't go into detail about what security measures they have in place.
Interesting.
They made it sound like it was about, like making sure nobody can break in, but what? There's a Brinks van outside your house. If somebody's casing the neighborhood, you're the last house they're looking at.
Yeah. No, it sounds like they're trying to evade the fact that they do have them. They just don't want to acknowledge what may or may not have been on that footage.
And do you remember anything about the home security system that the Ramseys had the night that JonBenet died?
Wasn't it disarmed?
It was disarmed. I mean, I look at this and it just point for point. It's like they looked at the Ramsey case and went, "Oh, we can do that." I mean, look, I'm not being rude. I'm just being brash, like Chris always says. He is, he's blunt, he's brash, he's honest.
Yes.
The things that he's not one of those things. I love the fact that like Seth came out and said, that Chris said there was something about Sebastian that if he told people the truth, nobody would want to look for him anymore. I've never seen Chris deny that. That's in our videos, Aiden.
No,
yeah.
I'm just not remembering this. What is this?
Oh, supposedly, this was about how Chris kept saying that Sebastian going to live with his dad had nothing to do with Faith. That Sebastian going to live with his dad had nothing to do with the court case, that what happened to Sebastian had nothing to do with Faith whatsoever. Meanwhile, Chris Proudfoot arranges for Sebastian to go live with his biological dad, Seth, and at almost exactly the same time, he starts a new court proceeding. He files a new motion to attempt to get primary custody of Faith. The way I see it, those two things are intimately connected. Sebastian then disappears after that court battle is already underway, which leads me to believe, maybe there was something going on that Chris was worried Sebastian might interfere with. Now, when we first put the series out, I was very much of the opinion that Sebastian could still be alive. I am less and less confident about that as time goes on. This is a kid who has severe medical issues, is very much special needs. I have a hard time seeing how he could have survived this long without somebody finding out he's there.
Yeah, he would have to be with someone somewhere.
Yeah. The one possibility was that somebody somehow smuggled him out of the country, but Chris and Katie have been here this whole time, as have both of their entire families.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have... I know that the Proudfoot family is a little bit more on the wealthy side, from what I understand from things locals have said.
Yeah, they're business owners, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe so. But not that wealthy. Not wealthy enough to, send him to be cared for in a foreign country, getting the proper medical care for almost a year.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's very likely at all. The two possibilities I would see at that point are that he was murdered or he was kidnapped or trafficked. Those, because otherwise he's somehow still with that family and nobody's found him. Now, the new development, the interesting one, is the Dog the Bounty Hunter stuff. So, what did he say today? Yes, I'm just kind of, scrolling through Twitter, and what do I find? Delco. The fight for answers about little Sebastian's disappearance is now moving from Tennessee to Pennsylvania. A $250,000 reward is being offered, and then it's 833-TELL-DOG, or email Sebastian at manhunts1.com, or manhunts.1. So, I don't know a ton of what's going on here. I was just followed by a bunch of people involved in this case, so maybe I'll have an opportunity to talk to people about this soon and figure out what this change is. But I guess there's some harassment going on, all that. he hasn't, from what I can tell, he hasn't really explained why Delco is now in the question. But what I wanted to say about it is, if it is that, if they think that he moved his way up to Pennsylvania, the only reason, I can't think of a ton of reasons to go to Delco. Delco, for those who don't know, is the southeasternmost county in Pennsylvania. It's small by comparison to our county, Chester. I think it's slightly bigger than Philadelphia County in terms of land mass, but population, it's smaller than Chester in population, I believe, as well. It has the city of Chester in it, which is extremely dangerous. And then also, as we've learned firsthand, an utterly incompetent police department in Ridley Township. I mean, dangerously incompetent police department in Ridley Township.
You want to watch a video about that that's coming up on its first year anniversary, you go watch the Tommy Booth video.
Yeah, Tommy Booth. I mean, that is... What happened in that case is a travesty. It is truly incredible how bad that investigation was. The fact that we don't have the camera footage is wild.
Well,
we do have some camera footage.
Yeah,
but not it's another one of those situations. It's really this guy left and no camera caught him leaving the bar.
Yeah,
none of them.
Well, and that's the ironic bit, considering all of the camera footage we do have, all of the footage I went through, just to kind of convert it because it was in a format that was literally unwatchable.
If you want to explain that, why we did that.
Yeah, so we met up with Tommy Booth's mother to go over some things, and
we have the case file.
Yeah, we have the case file, and she also gave us all of the footage she had we went to the police department.
Yeah, we went to the police department to get the footage, and then they didn't give us the footage we actually requested.
Yeah.
Which, of course, was being requested by the mother of a victim in a case they consider to be closed.
Yeah, which shouldn't be a problem.
If that's the thing. If the case is closed, why aren't you showing me the footage?
Yeah, exactly.
Why aren't you showing his mom the footage?
Yeah.
I'm a journalist. She's a mom.
Yeah.
Why isn't she seeing the right stuff?
So she was given that footage, but she also had some existing footage on a hard drive of hers that was in a form, I believe it was both forms of the footage were in file formats that were just not watchable.
Yeah, it was probably you need a certain software that the police use.
And that's the thing, is it was, I don't even remember what, it wasn't AVIF, but it was some weird.
It was weird.
Yeah, so I had to download a application in order to convert the footage to MP4. So then I went through all of it just briefly once I was had converted all of them to make sure they converted correctly. And the reason it's so shocking is because after having gone through all the footage that we were given, it is amazing that nothing caught him, because you get almost every... I don't think it has the back door, but you have the front door for almost the entire night. You've got every section of bar in the building, the dance floor. I think there was a pool hall in a portion of it. Yeah. There's so much coverage. Granted, the footage is horrible quality.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's 360p if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But the fact that...
It was 2004.
Yeah, but the fact that nobody identified him whatsoever on any of this footage is kind of insane.
I mean, also the fact that nobody in the bar that night seemed to know what happened to him.
Yeah.
It just something stinks about it. And then there's the fact that, his decomposition didn't match.
No. Somebody needs to follow up with his friend group and really put the pressure on him, because there's no way none of them knew what happened.
Oh, my goal with that case, when we do have time to properly revisit it and I can go through that case file and really dig everything out, I want to get the FBI's attention.
Yeah. You know what?
We know from Tommy's parents that these guys were trafficking drugs and guns.
Yeah. You know whose opinion I'd love to get on both this, but also in particular the Sebastian Rogers case?
Who?
Steve Thomas.
Yeah.
I would love to see if there was a way to get his opinion.
If anybody knows how to reach out to Steve Thomas, let me know. I would love to talk to him, even if it's privately.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't want me back on camera, I would love to sit down with the guy. One of the things that pisses me off the most about the discourse with JonBenet is everybody who's pro Ramsey treats Thomas as if he was trying to make money off of a tragedy. When if you actually read the book, it's not really about... It's about JonBenet, but it's about the investigation.
Yeah.
It's not the little insider details only. You can only hear this from me. It's not written like that. The focus of the book, when you read it, is on the ways in which the investigation was compromised by poor police leadership, outright obstructive behavior from the DA, and then the Ramseys and their lawyers just doing everything possible to sabotage any potential case.
That sounds almost more like a debrief after a mission to try and learn from the mistakes.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing about it. Thomas could have continued working for the Boulder PD. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, he was going to be fired for the way he behaved. Like, probably not, actually, because they had no seasoned detectives.
Yeah.
Like, firing him... He was an undercover narcotics cop before. Obviously, he can't do that anymore. His cover's blown. He can never go undercover again.
Or at least he can't do that in that...
He was on national TV.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, once that happened. Because I was going to say, I've worked with people who are in the private sector now that were previously undercover cops. And they did multiple runs in different townships. Yeah. Sometimes even in the same state, just different townships. But they've done multiple state...
Yeah, but if you're on national TV,
if you're on national TV, you're kind of screwed.
At that point, he was also one of their only detectives who had any experience with homicide.
Yeah.
So, I mean, getting rid of him would have been a gut punch to the department. It would have lowered morale for the people who were on his side.
Well, Mattis, it's not his fault considering Boulder, Colorado just had so little crime.
Yeah. It's hard to get convictions on the books when you keep pleading them down before you even charge the person. I think it was something like, it was over a 90% plea rate.
Imagine if...
And for things that were, in fact, homicides, cocaine dealing. Yeah. I mean, he got reprimanded for breaking up a prostitution ring. And, opinions on sex work aside, prostitution rings that run out of hotels are typically not the kind of thing that, even if you are a rather liberally minded person in that sense, those are trafficking. That's different. That's not OnlyFans. That is, it's almost always going to be trafficking.
Yeah.
Somebody is organizing this, which means that somebody's in charge. That is different than, being a cam model or an OnlyFans model or something like that.
Yeah, there's almost always some level of abuse somewhere.
Yeah. So, this is not an issue of some cops being, morally conservative and the DA being morally liberal. This is an issue of that's trafficking, and they told him not to look at prostitution cases anymore unless there were complaints. Which, of course, who's... The clients aren't going to complain, and the people who aren't clients probably aren't aware it's happening.
Yeah. Could you imagine a township with Alex Hunter as the DA and the police being the Ridley Township Police?
Oh, God. I mean, it sounds like that's kind of what it was for a few years after this case wrapped up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I look at everything you look at, it's Thomas's whole point in writing the book, and this is the part that pisses me off. Even if he was going to be fired from that department, he could have resigned. He could have gone back to Wheat Ridge. He could have gone to another big city. I mean, he would have been the kind of cop that New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, LA, any of those cities would have loved a cop like him. Boulder, not so much. Boulder doesn't want hard-hitting stuff. Boulder is a nice, pleasant, low-crime area where, bad things just don't happen. And if you have cops who aren't going to stand for the DA brushing aside any bad things so that it looks like everything's okay, that's not going to jive, And with the chief they brought in proves it.
Yeah.
Chief Kobe, I mean, I'm sure he was a nice guy. But police others as you would have them police unto you as a department motto? What does that mean? What does that mean in the case of a child murderer?
Yeah.
That's not... That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm not pleased.
I wonder if
Thomas
it was
gets so much hate, and it's not fair.
I wonder if it was a similar situation, and remind me the town that Sebastian Rogers founded?
Hendersonville, Tennessee, and it's Sumner County.
Sumner County. So I'm curious if Sumner County has a similar issue.
Well, somebody did. I may be. This may be. I will put it out there that I have not gone and confirmed this myself, but I did see screenshots of what appeared to be real tweets from Eric Craddock, the former deputy sheriff, who is now the sheriff after the former sheriff died suddenly.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, a few months ago. Craddock, I can't remember the exact terminology, but suffice to say he downplayed child sexual abuse.
Oh.
Yeah, in a tweet. Now, again, it could be that is a fake tweet. I did not look too deeply into it. It looked like a real tweet. If you want to go look for it, feel free. I'm going to try and find it and get to the bottom of it when we eventually do a real, when there's more updates to give, because I wasn't going to make a full update video, clickbait it and be like, hey, there's so much new information and it's like 3 or 4 things. But as time goes on, I'm sure there will be opportunities to make significant updates to the case. Again, my goal is I'm a historian. I don't like to cover active cases. I like to cover cases that are historical at this point, which is why I like John Bonet. Also because that one's just such a pain in the ass. But yeah, I think this one to me feels like a sheriff's department issue, not a DA issue. Now, granted, in a county as small as that, is there necessarily much of a difference? I don't know. But if what Nina said is true, because maybe she just got confused thinking back, that it was the Sumner County Sheriff's Office and she was actually, at the Henderson PD. The way she presented things, it seemed that the police were very friendly to the Proudfoots. And interestingly, this is the part that really gets me. When Sebastian was reported missing, they did not call 911. They called the sheriff's office directly.
Aha. So, yeah, you got to know at least one person there pretty well to be able to do that.
Yeah, they called Central Dispatch.
Yeah.
Which is not... You don't have to. I mean, if we call the non-emergency line here in Phoenixville, it takes us to Chester County, Central Dispatch. That's the non-emergency line? The reason you call the non-emergency line instead of 911 in a literal emergency is because you want the right person coming to your house. You want to make sure the right people are responsible. Which to me suggests that they had friends at the sheriff's department.
Yep.
Otherwise, you'd call 911. You just would. They're like, oh, out in the rural areas where we are, you were 10 minutes from Hendersonville, dude. You're not far. The cops who responded were Hendersonville cops.
Yeah. Also, they lived in a development.
Yeah.
It's not like they were out in the boonies. They lived in a neighborhood that looks like if they don't have an HOA, it would be one that would have one.
It does look like a neighborhood that would have an HOA. Also, we know that neighborhood has a ton of Ring doorbell cameras, a lot of security cameras. Nobody caught Sebastian walking around the neighborhood. I mean, it's just, it pisses me off thinking about the case. But like I said, it's all the echoes of the JonBenet Ramsey stuff.
Yep.
Cops not doing their jobs for some reason or another, improperly doing their jobs in some cases, and then, basically the parents going, I realize all of this evidence points at us, but look at this shiny thing over here. Why are you, your child is missing, why are you suing YouTubers for driving through your neighborhood that you don't live in anymore because you moved away from the place that you would expect your son to be coming back to if he decided to come home? I just, listen, the way the Ramseys behaved makes them look guilty as sin. The way the Proudfoots behaved is worse. And it's still going. I mean, I think it's very funny that John Ramsey is getting up there and, talking about how the police won't do what they need to do and they won't test these samples. Meanwhile, his own attorneys in 1997 were going to the we're sending the DA guys to the CBI to tell them, hey, don't test those samples. Real thing that happened, guys. Deputy DA Hofstrom, the chief prosecutor for Boulder County in 1997, hand-delivered a letter to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation saying, don't test these samples. The letter was from a Ramsey attorney, and he just gave it his blessing to make sure it worked. In a just world, Hofstrom would be redacted, but in a slightly just world, Hofstrom would have told the Ramsey lawyers, F off. Sorry. If we charge you, you can do discovery. The Ramsey lawyers seem to have been very adamant that that be prevented. I mean, obstructing the testing of samples.
Specifically DNA samples that could rule in or out suspects in the murder of a
serology, fingerprints, hair, fibers. I mean, there was a beaver hair found on the duct tape, I believe, and Patsy had a pair of boots that were lined with beaver hair that were never submitted. Like, the Ramseys didn't turn them over. And the Boulder DA wouldn't subpoena anybody because he didn't want to offend the Ramseys.
Naturally.
I mean, it's so frustrating looking at these two cases that happen almost 30 years apart, and you're like, okay, everybody made exactly the same mistakes. There was clearly corruption going on. Why aren't we looking at the parents? I mean, that's the part that really drives me insane is, at least with Boulder, I hope somebody who works for the Sumner County Sheriff's Department comes out sometime from now and writes is the Steve Thomas of this case. Because we need that. We need somebody to go through and be like, all right, I got to come clean. People were preventing us from looking at the parents. Because from what I can tell, they really haven't. I mean, the fact that they allowed the home to be professionally cleaned.
Yeah, that is genuinely the most not the most shocking thing, but it is shocking that was, at best, such a large oversight.
Yep.
If not an element of corruption in and of itself.
It made me so angry going back through all of it. And I highly recommend you guys watch the complete version of the documentary, even if you've already seen them, because I think seeing it all tied together at once is going to really drive home just how screwed up this situation actually is.
Yep. Real quick, we're just under 10 minutes before Super Chats.
Okay.
But other than anything...
Wait.
What?
Huh? What did... Apparently Dog the Bounty Hunter's in our chat.
Oh!
Is that his actual account? It would be official Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, official Dog the Bounty Hunter. Somebody looks like he said, "Fess up or give up." $250,000 reward.
Dog, we are. I'm speaking to you right now, my man. I actually watched some of your show growing up. This is fun. This is a cool moment for me. We are literally 30 minutes from Delaware County. Our studio is 30 minutes from Delaware County. I grew up 30 feet from Delaware County, or like 300 yards. But
yep.
I went to restaurants and games and all sorts of things there all the time. I don't know it quite as well as I know Chester County, my home area, but I know Delco. I know Delco pretty well. I played football games there. Like, I had friends who lived there. If you want us to help out with anything, we are right here. Feel free to reach out. You can do it on Twitter. You can send an email to Mattis at redactedmediapa.com or Thornbury at redactedmediapa.com or thelordlodge@gmail.com. We are happy to hand over dossiers, anything that we have access to. It's yours. We just want this case solved.
Yeah, and access to is including our time and capabilities to help out to the best of our ability. Obviously we have this that we need to run, but in order to find a lost child, we can definitely manage to spare some time in our week to go help with a search in any way, shape, or form that would actually be beneficial.
And we are fairly well regarded in the community, so I think we could probably organize some help too.
Without a doubt, yeah.
So if that's something that you'd like, that you have any interest in, we are right here. Very happy to help. If that is, of course, the real Dog the Bounty Hunter. And if it's not, can you let him know we said that?
That'd be good.
Yeah, that would be Our lives have gotten weird, dude.
They really have.
Our lives have gotten very strange.
But yeah, before we go to Super Chat, any last thoughts, hopes for this case in particular that you're...
Sebastian?
Yeah, that you're looking forward to potentially happening in 2025, or anything that you finally just want to cover?
I can see there is some heat being applied now. I think there was a bit of a lull, but Chris Proudfoot can't keep his mouth shut. He just can't. Narcissistic personality disorder is a criminal investigator's best friend. He just can't stop talking to the media, to YouTube, to whatever. And interestingly, the largest show by far to offer him a platform to come on and say his piece is right here.
I was gonna say, have we extended the official invitation yet?
We have several times on these live streams. We've done it in videos that we've posted, the recorded stuff. Chris, if I'm wrong, come tell me. Get on this show. You know, you don't even have to come here to Pennsylvania, but call in. Google Meet, Zoom, Skype, whatever. Come on in. Explain to me how I'm wrong. I will even be nice. I'll even be like, I will come at it with an open mind. If you can show me that you have the integrity to come and actually face to face speak to your, one of the people who is the most adamant that you are potentially responsible for, to put all the legal terms in there. If you have that integrity to come here, you're blunt, you're brash, you're honest, all that, come do it. I'm sitting right here. You wouldn't be the first person that I dislike that I've had on this show who I have been kind to. Now, granted, if you go back and watch those episodes, the moment I have a reason not to be kind, I stop being kind.
You did with the one of name which we will not use, specifically because those two words YouTube doesn't like.
Oh, yeah, Austin.
Yeah, the one with Austin. You managed way longer than most people in the comments expected.
I think I did pretty well.
You did.
Considering how bad that was. God. My favorite thing is in that video, we won the debate in the first 10 minutes. Because we were like, Antarctica. And he was like, yeah, well, I mean, if there's a 24-hour sun, then that would mean that the Earth can't be flat. Then he just went to Antarctica like 2 weeks ago, saw a 24-hour sun.
Has he said anything publicly yet?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any big statements from him. I think he's going to pivot to geocentrism. So the Earth's round, but it's also the center of the universe. Yeah. But anyway, with this specific case with Sebastian, I'm hoping that there will be some movement soon. I know that there were a lot of detractors when Dog got involved, but from what I've seen, he's been very diligent about this. Constantly updating things, constantly putting out information. And there's a number of other people on both sides. But I think at this point, the pressure needs to be on, someone knows what happened to that kid because he didn't run out of that house. He did not leave that house on his own 2 feet. He just didn't. So maybe we'll see. My hope with this case, obviously, is that Sebastian is somehow found alive. But if not, I want that motherfucker brought to justice. Whether it's Chris or not.
Just whoever did it.
Mm-hmm. Do I think that there are other likely suspects? No.
If there are other likely suspects, they've done a really good job of covering their tracks up till now.
If you are another likely suspect, please come on the show. I promise there won't be cops waiting outside.
Well, considering the way you started the show,
I don't think we don't need cops.
Exactly, that's my point.
Listen. I believe in the rule of law. Most of the time.
I was going to say, where's that however coming in?
Yeah. If the law refuses to do its job, then I think that there are discussions to be had, but that has to be like concrete, no questions, like we have it on video.
Yeah.
Like I don't approve of vigilante justice unless the reason it's necessary is blatant corruption. Looking at you, Luigi. I understand why you did what you did, but there were potentially better options.
What's his name? The dad, on the other hand, though, at the telephone. Gary.
Yeah. Why, Gary? That's a great example.
Yeah.
Although that was not necessary. That guy was going to prison, but I do totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I get why Gary Plauché did what he did.
Yep.
Jody actually, he and I had a quick interaction. He went to Penn State.
Did he really?
He did. We talked on YouTube for a second.
Oh, that's fun.
Nice guy. Victim advocate, from what I understand, doing a lot of great things with his life, which is all you can really ask of somebody who has gone through what he went through.
Yeah, 100%.
So super, super proud of Jody for what he has been able to accomplish.
Awesome. Well, with that, I think it's 8:00, so it's officially super chat time.
I don't know how many we have today, but in the past few weeks, we've had a lot of super chats come in, which we are so thankful for that. We are so incredibly grateful. At the same time, the shows have been getting towards 3 hours long as a result. So we are going to start focusing on primarily the most relevant super chats first, and then we're going to kind of cruise on down. If it gets to a point where it's like 9 p.m. and there's 30 left and they're all, silly or just, little compliments, like we very much appreciate it. But like after this, I've got to go keep working on the Pennsylvania cluster.
Yep. Yeah. And our wonderful social media person has been yelling at us because...
Oh, yeah. She has to like somehow break these into 2 videos.
Yeah, because unfortunately, the software we use to help find and generate clips that you see on social media won't let us use clips from something over 2 hours long. So we're trying to...
Frustrating, but understandable.
We're trying to make it easier for everybody, so that way we've a shorter show for you guys to watch, a shorter show for us to produce so we can actually sleep, and just keeping everything generally, easy and usable on all platforms and for all varieties of content that we produce. Nonetheless, I think it's Alwystred. It's ALWYSTYRED.
Really quickly, somebody did say that they Googled Brinks and they don't offer free security, but they do offer employee discounts.
Got it. Okay.
But also it sounded, the evidence would suggest that they do have a home security system.
Got it.
Either way.
Yeah, they gave $10. Thank you very much. And asked, didn't see if you answered this before, but I'm a paramedic that is from Yuba City, where the Yuba County 5 is from, and now I live near where they went missing. I'd love to take pics and fill in some lore.
Ooh. We should talk.
Yes.
We should have a discussion.
Please email us at thelorelodge@gmail.com or send a message in one of the tip lines in the Discord.
Yep.
That's a great way to...
I did see one from Bert in the chat right now.
Just like the regular?
Yeah.
Any chance you guys want to go back to Texas?
I know what he's talking about. There is a potential we could go out to the Brandon Lawson site.
Well, I just got wind of information over the weekend that I may not necessarily need, but may have a very good reason to go to Texas at the end of the month. So
I think we'd have to talk about when they're doing their Texas thing.
That's true. Bert, if it's anywhere around January 31st, let me know, because my buddy Jesse is getting his wings.
Oh, cool.
For the Marines.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So yeah.
Congrats, Jesse.
So we're considering going down.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But either way, it would really just depend on our schedule and flight prices and things like that. But I think that would definitely be something we're interested in. I know I've said we need to talk about it. I've just been crazy busy. That never ends. I need an assistant. What?
This is not relevant, but it is gone, but it's a good one.
Oh,
So sad that John Ramsey sent Aiden that revolver. So sad that we lost him on June 13th, 2025. R.I.P. Matusi. Depression is real.
Oh, I did have a bit of an oopsie posting about the purchase. I just posted a picture of the revolver with the caption "Merry Christmas to me" on Twitter. People did not take it the way I intended. I was like happy. I was like, "Oh, Merry Christmas to me! I wanted a revolver. I found a revolver for a great price. Awesome." And everybody's like, "Aiden, don't do it. No."
We like you too much. You're doing such a good job.
I was like, "It's fine, guys. I just got the revolver. I'm excited about it."
Oh, that's phenomenal. Next would probably be The Rude Canadian for Canadian $5.69. Love the specificity. Saying, have you guys ever heard of the murder of John Dick? It's a pretty famous murder/ghost story from the Ablian Falls, I hope I pronounced that right, in Hamilton, Ontario. Cheers.
I had not heard of it, but I'm looking it up.
I will write that down in our content.
Evelyn Dick was a Canadian socialite suspected of killing her husband and son, although she never confessed to either crime. Served time for manslaughter from 47 to 58 and subsequently disappeared. Interesting. Offered a pardon under the royal prerogative of mercy in 1985. What is that? It is to withdraw or provide alternatives to death sentences, apparently.
Wait, what?
The pardon.
Oh, got it.
Interesting. I wonder, yeah. Dick had given birth 3 times and invented a man named Norman White to conceal the identity of each baby's father?
Huh? Is this the same story?
There was her children were Peter David White, Heather Maria White, and a second daughter who was stillborn. The body in Dick's attic was identified as that of Peter David White.
What was her name again?
Evelyn. At the age of 24, McLean married John. This is Evelyn married John Dick, a 39-year-old man from a Mennonite family who migrated to Canada to escape the Russian Revolution.
Okay, yeah, this sounds worth looking into for sure.
Royalist Mennonite? Tsarist Mennonite.
Did Tsarist Mennonites?
Who did this? Did this woman murder her Tsarist Mennonite husband? Like, what? John, who also worked for the HSR, Hamilton Street Railway. Let's see. Threatened to explode Donald McLean's fraud. Wait, okay. Wow. Her father was an abusive alcoholic who collected firearms. He worked as a streetcar conductor and was later found to have stolen $200,000. At the age of 24, McLean married John Dick. This is Evelyn McLean. She began... Okay. All right. John, who also worked for the HSR, threatened to expose Donald McLean's fraud. Evelyn began a relationship with a new boyfriend, Bill Bohazuk, days after her marriage and separated from John within 3 months. And then John Dick disappeared after another 3 months. After John was reported missing, a human torso was found on Hamilton Mountain near Albion Falls by 5 local children. The condition of the victim's testicles allowed him to be identified as John. I don't want to know what that means. His head and limbs had been sawn from his body. Wow. The event drew large crowds due to the grim nature of the crime, the revelation that Dick kept a black book with a record of all her sexual encounters. This case has the best possible names for this case, though,
yeah,
I gotta say.
So we're gonna have to do this.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this is looking absolutely crazy. This is one of the wildest crimes I've ever read about, and I'm only reading the Wikipedia case page.
Hang on, I'm
estimated that she slept with 150 men, most of whom were more wealthy than her husband. In court, she stated that one of those men was the judge's son.
No way. This is shocking.
Both of her lawyers, the one who unsuccessfully defended her, and the jury convicted her to death by hanging, which is hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, Dick got hung.
What? What year was this? Like what?
40s. Yeah, Canada was a little behind.
Yeah, apparently.
But yeah, her first lawyer's name was JJ, and her second lawyer's name was also JJ. She somehow was acquitted on appeal.
Interesting.
As part of the investigation, a partly mummified body of a male infant was found in Dick's attic, encased in cement in an old suitcase.
All right, yeah, this is nuts.
That is insane. She was sentenced to life in prison in 1947, but somehow paroled in 1958. What? How do you murder your husband and infant child
And then walk.
and then walk?
Yeah, we got to cover that story. That's nuts.
Canada, you never fail to disappoint me.
Well, I'm sure the Mounties are involved somewhere.
Oh, they've got to be.
All right, yeah, most of these are just kind of like vaguely relevant, so I'm just going to go back to the start and run through them.
Sure.
Her Royal Pain for $5 is saying, write allegedly on your foreheads to avoid lawsuits, boys.
Yeah, we probably should at this point.
Yeah.
We've got to get shirts that say allegedly on them.
We should.
Honestly, we should just get that as merch.
Yeah. Might conflict with Letterkenny a little bit there.
What if it said, like, allegedly, in our opinion, perchance?
Oh, then we're good.
Because we say that all the time.
Yeah, without a doubt. A chimp with a hand grenade for $1.99 says, as a New Yorker, I'm so sorry. Fair. I think my drive back today. It wasn't bad. Ended with a very pretty sunset.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
As a Philadelphian to New Yorkers, I am so sorry for your football team.
Oh,
Teams.
yeah.
Everyone except Buffalo.
We were at Genesee watching the Buffalo Jets game. We weren't watching it. We showed up at Genesee Brewhouse for like an hour, and it was on. It was the last 5 minutes, and we looked at this. We looked at the TV, and we were like, "Oh, it's Jets!" But oh my god,
Yeah,
how
bad was it?
It was like 35-0.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's crazy, especially since, that's not even the worst somebody got whooped this weekend. Suck it, Dallas. 41-7. You let our backup quarterback put 2 touchdowns on you.
I'm sorry, wait. I'm a little sad that I wasn't watching the game because
Tanner McKee dropped 2 touchdown passes.
No, because I had to watch the Pickett on TikTok later.
He proceeded to ball out and play through like most of the game with broken ribs.
I'm so glad
He
that
did the tush push and got a touchdown.
I love it. I love that he redeemed himself, but watching that video come across my feed, and I had to watch it 4 times. I was like, did they like erase a person here, or did that just actually happen?
Chances are they are not going to start Hurts in week 7 or week 18.
Is this just going to be another round of Wentz Foles?
Hurts will be back for the playoffs.
Are we sure?
He has a mild concussion. He'll be back for the playoffs.
Yeah, but like,
listen, if Pickett goes and wins the Super Bowl, I'm not going to be mad. I think it would be funny as hell.
It'd be amazing.
Especially if we did it to the Chiefs.
Yes.
If we somehow did to the Chiefs what we did to the Patriots, I think, history would repeat itself and it would end their dynasty. So,
yeah.
Root for Pickett, boys. If you're tired of the Chiefs.
And then out of nowhere, Nate Studfeld comes in for like 3
Nate
plays.
Studfeld, man.
There's something about him, man. He just, it was, you know what it was?
It was magical. Don't get me wrong.
It was specifically the fact that his last name was Sudfeld and that they brought him in to then receive the touchdown pass.
Yeah.
As a quarterback.
Which play are you talking about?
There was one play. It was I can't remember what game it was, but they did like not a QB sneak, but I don't know enough football terminology, but essentially he was given the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He tossed it to someone else as a lateral.
Yeah.
Went into the end zone and was thrown the ball for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was like the first play he'd ever played in an official NFL game. And he received a touchdown as a quarterback that he had began the ball. Yeah. And it's just like, it's just phenomenal.
I love the Eagles.
Phenomenal. They're such a great team. Flaw for $5 saying, at D tier Mattis reaction streams when?
I don't know. I'm getting back to streaming on Fridays. We're gonna see how things develop from there.
How'd it go this week?
Good. It was like I never left.
Nice.
200 viewers, Helldivers. It was good.
Nice.
It's great. It was nice.
Cilia Francisca, I believe. That's probably a horrible pronunciation, but has been a member for a month.
Awesome. Thank you.
That is the GOM one from earlier. Ben Potter for 4107. Love the specificity.
Very specific number.
How we feeling about the Eagles postseason chances? Go Birds.
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. The fact that we were just able to win with our third string quarterback, and not by just handing it to Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't watch this game this weekend. Did we decide not to run the same play over and over again for
Yes.
4 quarters straight?
Yes.
Thank you.
Barkley also just made a mess of the Cowboys defense.
Shocker. It's Barkley.
Did you see how close he is?
No, what's
He
the
needs
number?
105 yards.
Seriously?
101 yards.
Is that the regular season record or the
Regular season record.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Even if you go by everybody's like, oh, well, all, the Giants fans are coping with, Dickerson did it in 16 games. He did it in 374 carries, 379 carries. I believe Barkley is only at like 235.
So yeah, I mean
So carries wise,
the yards per carry is way higher.
is way higher.
Yeah.
Saquon's. My guess is they will probably ask him what he wants to do
What do you mean?
on Sunday against the Giants.
Oh, in terms of yeah, that makes
They'll
sense.
basically be like, look, we're having a Super Bowl season. Obviously, we don't want you to get hurt. This might be your one chance to get that record.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? That's my guess. Knowing Barkley, I think chances are he'll probably start the game, get the record, and then leave.
I wouldn't blame him.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Especially because Gainwell can. Gainwell's as good as most starting backs in the NFL. So.
Yeah.
Barkley's just a monster.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Conversation is over, too.
He's like the
Henry
Dawkins of
is
running back.
behind.
Is he really?
Henry is behind him by like 200 yards. Yeah.
What a shame. Henry was such a beast like 4 years ago.
He's still a beast.
No, I know, but
Still
like,
probably, he might hit 2,000 this year. Like, he might be number 9 to do it.
Fair.
So.
I just feel like there's been a little bit of a...
Well, I mean, he's getting older.
That's true.
Obviously, there's going to be something. He also switched teams. He's on,
Him at the Colts was all time.
He was on the Colts?
Yeah, I think it was the Colts.
Titans.
Titans, that's it. Yeah. Because who was the quarterback for the Titans at the time?
Tannehill.
Yeah, him and Tannehill. Incredible combo right there.
Titans just can't win.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I remember because Rex was really into the Titans that I think it was 2021.
I bet now he doesn't even remember the Titans.
How could he forget in such a way?
All right, well, we got more super chats.
Yep.
It's not a football show.
No, it is not.
Could be, but it's not.
We do have 2,000 viewers, though, despite it. Despite the fact that we're talking about football,
I
yeah.
did not see the view count number. Jeez. Yeah, no.
That girl RWB for 9.99 says thanks.
Thank you. A bunch of Sebastian people probably.
Yep.
Hey, for those of you who maybe just joined, we are into our super chat section now. We did talk about Sebastian and some similarities to the JonBenet Ramsey case for most of the show. Highly recommend if you want to see that stuff, going back and rewatching the stream. And if you got any questions now, feel free to super chat them in, whether it's $2 or $20. If it's relevant to the discussion at hand, we will answer it up through probably 9 o'clock p.m.
Looks like a lot of people are saying Pearl's Flash Mob.
Pearl's Flash Mob. I guess it's somebody named Pearl.
Yeah.
Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Thank you.
If you have not seen our 3-part series on Sebastian Rogers, we have a compiled version of it. So there's going to be this Friday an episode is coming out that compiles all of our coverage of Sebastian Rogers into one 3-hour episode. So if you haven't seen that and you want to take a look, please do. Happy to have you here. And hopefully the added attention puts more and more pressure on the people who need to be pressured.
Absolutely. But yeah, this point of the show, we are now answering super chats from people who have super chatted in throughout the show. Mm-hmm. So, if you find it's not totally relevant to Sebastian, that's part of the reason. But if you want to ask questions in particular, like Mattis just said, feel free to do so.
We've got like 40 minutes to do it.
Yep. The next question is less of a question, but more of a donation from Elena de Howler, Werewolf Queen for $4.99, giving us more PTSD therapy money.
Yeah.
And then asking us what we got for Christmas. She got a lot of art supplies.
Ooh,
cool.
That seems like it would be right up your alley.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I got some cool stuff. I got a lot of rocks glasses.
Oh, really?
Somewhat concerning amount of rocks glasses. I might need to.
Well, you do
have
like
a talk
bourbon.
with myself. Yeah, in my family, there's if it's bourbon, it's not alcoholism, I guess.
I wonder who you got that from.
Nobody. I just said it myself.
Yeah, fair. No. I meant the
Christian,
proclivity.
For sure,
yeah, exactly.
Christian and I love our bourbon, but Yeah. A lot of rocks glasses. Got some other cool stuff too. I'm happy. It's a good Christmas.
I got my first fishing rod. Well, no, second fishing rod of all time, but first one that's actually usable in like
Nice.
big settings. So yeah, that'll be fun. Gom for $5 says, also just ran for the entirety of the American Idiot album at 8-minute pace. I haven't run in 10 months, but I am getting ready for a Dogman hunt. Nice. Well done. Yeah, I gotta start running more again. Cy Bain has been a member for 2 months. Thank you very much.
You.
Kellen, the official data for $20. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Kellen.
Saying, Happy New Year's, boys. Pay your taxes. Insert your bags like a man or with an open bolt. That will solve the problem.
I was watching Brandon's video. The open bolt wasn't the problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not with the SIG, at least. With the Ruger, open bolt helps a lot.
Fair.
Yeah.
Also, thank you for the reminder to pay my taxes because I still have to do state before January 15th.
Oh, right.
So,
You gotta do that.
yeah.
It sucks.
So, yeah, that was very helpful, actually. Thank you. Gom was saying, I believe the package arrived open on stream.
Is it like here? It arrived here?
Supposedly.
Did you see a package?
I did not notice one, but I also didn't come in the front.
I did, but I didn't see a package. I'll go downstairs. You take super chats.
All right.
And I'll be right back.
Mangled Wither for $20. Thank you very much. Says, this coming year is the first year I'm genuinely scared of my grandmother dying along with my dad. I don't know which of them I'll lose next year, but I'm scared. It feels like whatever God controls the universe just hates me. I wouldn't say that, but I can certainly understand fearing the loss of loved ones, especially grandmother. I can very much empathize with you there. I actually just lost one of my grandmothers back in November. It was very difficult for the family, very tough time. I think the biggest thing you can do is, recognize that unfortunately that's a part of life for all of us. But, in the moments that you still have with them, make sure that you call them or you go see them, invite them to lunch. I still need to get better about that myself with, a variety of different family members, but it's important to cherish the time that you have, and make sure that you're doing right by them while they're still here. So that way, when that does inevitably happen one way or another, hopefully in a peaceful manner, you can rest easy knowing that, the love was given and shared, and you can cherish the memories that you had together. It's not necessarily going to make it easier, but at least it'll bring a little bit of extra positivity to a dark time. But yeah, hope that was helpful. Yeah?
It's not here.
Oh, okay.
This is the second time you said you sent a package. It's not getting it.
Gom, apparently the package is not here yet.
It's a 10 North Main Street, Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's 10 North. Make sure that's what you're doing. Yeah. And then next is JMO for $10 saying, I've written over 1,800 words in 2-ish hours. I'm tired. Mattis, play TF2, please. Anywho, your heart is in the udder, but you have to choose will you set the milk upon them, or you have to choose will you set the milk upon them, for the milk is your warrior. JMO, you're always coming at it with some sauce.
What did that mean?
That was great. I love how you read it again and still didn't make any sense.
Thank you. Thank
you for the $10 at the very least, and a little bit of confusion to make our brains work.
Anything related to the case at hand come in really quick?
No, not currently. Elena is saying, I know this is most likely wishful thinking, but I hope Sebastian is eventually found safe.
Oh, same.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of in that boat.
Oh, here we go. We did have one that was from about this. It's Clutch Them Pearls. Justin told us you were live. We're Sebastian's Army. Thank you for all you've done for Sebastian. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming to these things and help keeping his name out there. I think that this is... Oh, and one was, in your opinion, do you think this is from Honeybee for $4.99? In your opinion, do you believe this case will come to a conclusion soon? Hashtag Sebastian's Army. I sure hope. And the first one was Tory Banks. I really hope so, guys. And there was another one that's from Sandy SST for 20. It says, we have seen all three. Thank you for keeping Sebastian's name alive. We are Sebastian's Army. Thank you, guys. I mean, Our only hope with bringing it up is that, a rising tide raises all ships. If a channel as big as us keeps talking about it, it'll keep the name out there, and hopefully the channels who talk about it more and get it, the constant exposure can keep hammering. As much as we are very strongly of the opinion that the Proudfoots are involved, if they're not, well, the case being in the news keeps Sebastian's name out there, even for the person who is responsible if it's not them. So, like I said, all I want is for that kid to be found alive. And if he's not, I just hope that whoever did it can be. Is it a call to violence if I say what I want to say?
Most likely, yes.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, I heard wood chippers are on sale lately.
There you go.
They're good for many things.
White Trash Banner for $5 says, whatever you upload, I'm watching 98% of the way through every time. I usually cut out the drink, eat, wear, more lodge segment.
That's fair. But if you would like to support the work we do here at the Lore Lodge, a couple of little links in the description you can go to. Tableau Roasting Co. That is our coffee, Mount Pocono Perk. It is a delicious medium roast that I designed myself. I was a barista for many years. And of course, I'm not currently wearing it, and I don't think there's any in the studio right now. But if you go to Bunker Branding and scroll down to the Lore Lodge section, we have merch over there as well. You see me wearing it frequently in our videos.
I will say, I know I saw one earlier in the evening that we're going to get to eventually, but you brought it up. Somebody was asking whether or not we'd be able to get a Pity for the Gourd shirt on Bunker sometime soon.
I think so.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if we couldn't. Toast McGhost for $5 says, love you guys' content. I was introduced via the Yuba County 5 video. Joined late tonight, so I'll rewatch this live later. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Tyler Dalrymple for $5.60.
We got to get Tony back on the show, too.
We do. Yeah, we really do. I've been taught to operate giant industrial robot arms. I will make this everyone's problem. Happy New Year, fellas.
You know what? The government is pretending that we didn't all see drones over New Jersey a couple of weeks ago, so the world's getting weird enough as it is.
Yeah, without a doubt. Cybane for $4.99 says, longtime lurker, but girlfriends and I are going to the Mothman Festival this coming year, and we were wondering if you guys are going to be there. If so, drinks on me.
Oh, we are considering it.
Yeah. We've been asked multiple years in a row. We just keep forgetting to schedule to do it.
Yeah, I keep forgetting when it is. It's earlier than I expected to be in the year.
I think it's either April or May.
Yeah, it might be over the summer, but I always for some reason think it's in October. And it's not.
Yeah.
And then October rolls around, and I'm like, oh, it was in June?
Yeah, we'll definitely, we just need to be reminded of it a little more frequently, but we do want to go. So long as it's not conflicting with any of the other things we currently have scheduled. Vampire from Pluto for $4.20, love the specificity, saying, blue snow shovel self-defense video when? Fair.
I'll have to reach out to Chad, man, the myth, the legend himself, who started that joke. If we do it, I'm gonna have to get him down here from, I think, Connecticut.
I think even if we just did like one weekend day, we could do it. I think that's the problem. We do have the rewards that we still have.
Yeah, I still have to walk into a Hot Topic wearing a Make Wendussy Great Again hat.
Where are we gonna find one of them?
We're gonna have to have it made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gonna have to be. Do we do a one-off or do we do a special run?
I mean, probably a one-off. I worry that one might be perceived as cultural appropriation by people who don't know who we are. If we do an actual line of them, if it's one thing for a joke video that's posted for free to Patreon,
cultural appropriation.
When to go?
Oh, I see. Got it.
There's a lot of people who don't watch our content and don't understand that the Wendussy thing is a joke that developed out of sincere coverage.
Yep.
Might not go very well. I did see some more Sebastian ones come through as super chats.
Yeah.
Want to snag those?
Hope in the Shadow. Let me make sure I'm reading the full name properly. Just got to scroll down.
While he does that, to quickly answer a question asked by, who was it? Echo Warrior for 50. Thank you very much. He said, so Witless went to the North Pole, right? Yeah. You know what? I'm sure they would have made that argument if they did this well, obviously you can't do it at a different time of year, but obviously there's no 24-hour sun in the North Pole right now. So Even the flat earthers have to accept that one. Anyways, question from Mattis. Can someone who doesn't believe in the Trinity as defined by the Council of Nicaea, but believes in Jesus, be Christian? I ask as a practicing Mormon and consider myself a Christian. Nicene Christians will say no. They will say that if you do not believe Jesus and God are one unified being, then you are not Christian, you're something else.
Who counts as a Nicene Christian versus not?
Basically, almost all Christians.
Okay. Who doesn't fit in that?
I think there's a couple of tiny Oriental Orthodox churches, I think. And then you have, I think, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, and a few other sects. Mormons would definitely be the largest and most culturally accepted group.
Mm-hmm.
But, I put it this way. I think that if your goal is to follow Christ, you're most of the way there. A lot of Catholics would say Protestants aren't Christian. A lot of Protestants would say Catholics aren't Christian. I think that the Nicene community gangs up on Mormons because we all disagree with them. But I don't think that you are... I would personally say no, Mormons aren't Christian. They are Christian adjacent. But that isn't a reason for me to dislike Mormons. I have no problem with Mormons. We have theological differences. I have theological differences with the Catholic Church as well. But to answer your question, yeah, most Nicene Christians would tell you no. Mormonism is not Christian. It's something else. In my opinion, it's probably close enough that God will get it if you are a believer. I am, for those who don't know, I am a practicing Christian. Currently deciding whether or not I want to go join the Orthodox or the Episcopalian Church. Episcopal Church, sorry. But yeah, to be gentle about it, yes, I think that Mormons consider themselves Christian. I understand that. Other Christians don't consider Mormons to be Christian. But it's about as close as you can get for the most part. There's just a few things in there that you're like, ooh, wait, what? Honestly, I think that the Trinitarian difference is not quite as stark as the afterlife difference between Mormonism and Christianity.
I know very little about the differences between.
Well, we'll talk about it on Weird Bible at some point.
There we go. The Silver Septal, I believe, for 569 says, hey, just wanted to say, love your work, and I found my great-grandfather was a Mason, and now I'm thinking of joining. Any advice?
Oh, well, this is a 1-2 punch for the people who get mad at me for being a rather liberal Christian about what's considered Christianity. Yeah, I mean, I would say see how it squares with your faith, your chosen sect. If you are a Christian, some of them are an absolute no on it. Others are sometimes pro-Mason, some are anti-Mason, some are neutral. Personally, I've found Masonry to be a good experience. It has given me an additional community that I can lean on. And it is something that, should I choose to stick with it over the years, obviously, if I decide to join the Orthodox Church, I can't remain a Mason. But
wait, really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's banned. It's not allowed.
For what reason? Are you able to say?
I mean, in my opinion, it's the same misconception that Catholics have. The Orthodoxy only banned it recently, like the 50s. I mean, recently in the grand scheme of things. The way I have seen it over and over again is that it's not those first 3 degrees that anybody really has a problem with. I mean, the Catholics did, because it wasn't Catholic and, God forbid.
Yeah.
That was the 1700s, though. Most of what I see when it comes to Freemasonry is that there is this understanding outside of Masonry that Albert Pike matters. Whereas if you ask the average Freemason, especially those from north of the Mason-Dixon line, they don't care what Albert Pike thinks. They don't. What he said doesn't matter. And if you ask Masons outside of the United States, particularly in England and Scotland, they'll be like, "Who? Like, what are you talking about? Who's out? What?
Yeah.
I've seen some interesting stuff. An Orthodox Christian told me that the Templars have the same weird stuff as the Scottish Rite, the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite does. Then French Masonry is just nonsense. It's not even Freemasonry. And I'd argue anything that's derived from French Masonry has the same inherent flaws.
If you're wondering why he has these opinions, watch our video on Freemasonry.
Yes. We have the video on Freemasonry. I myself am a 4th degree Mark Master Mason. At this point, there are things I don't like and things that I like.
About Orthodox Christianity or the Masons?
Freemasonry. The first 3 degrees, great. They're what came about when the order was explicitly Christian. There is no way to look at them and see them as anti-Christian. There is nothing that is conflicted with my values. And everything that I did go through to attain that degree, that 3rd degree, and even the 4th one, was, in my opinion, good. I don't think that, there was nothing that was contradictory to my faith. There was nothing that was contradictory to my morality. It was just about, being a better man. And so that side of Freemasonry is what I really like. Mm-hmm. I think that holding the entire organization accountable to the beliefs of a specific sect is kind of silly. It's kind of like saying, all Christians are like culty because of Jehovah's Witnesses. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not dogmatic. I'm not the kind of person who's going to go through it and, ignore stuff if I don't like it. I'm also not the kind of person who is going to believe things if I find no evidence of them. So I plan to become a Templar. Plan to go all the way through, and if I get there and they're like, oh yeah, so God's name's actually Jobulon, and he's the angel of light, I'm going to be like, okay, see ya, guys. Bye. Not sure what this is about. But
what if that's the truth? That is the hidden truth that all religion has kept.
I feel like they would have put it in there before the 1790s. Because if the whole thing is that Masonry is a direct successor to the Templars, mm-hmm. and that's something the Templars uncovered in the Temple of Solomon, there's a discussion to be had. In my opinion, it's more likely that, as we see from the late 18th and much of the 19th century, you had a bunch of people who archaeology and history were just becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm. Which is nuts that those disciplines are that new.
Yeah. Oh, up until like the 1820s, history was a hobby for the rich. It was like you read Tacitus, you read Xenophon, you read Caesar, and you wrote your opinion about what they did. Mm-hmm. You didn't really question it. There wasn't a ton of historiography. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a ton of that going on.
Yeah.
Historiography, historicism, these various schools of thought that are more academic, more scientific, those start to develop in the 1820s. So, in my opinion, somebody, if that is what happens, if I'm not being lied to when you get to the Templar degree and they tell you, hey, so we've, well, hush, hush, but you need to know the knowledge. It's not Yahweh, it's Jobulon, which, from what I have read, appears to be a compound term using various Middle Eastern words for God. Like Jah coming from Jehovah, Bu coming from Baal, and I think Lon coming from Elyon. Not having any experience with the degree process itself, that seems like the same thing as Ignatius Donnelly writing about Atlantis. Like, I came across these things and had these thoughts, and I'm going to claim it comes from ancient esoteric Templar knowledge. You read the original Masonic documents, like the Regius poem, there's no mention of Jobulon. It's explicitly Christian. My hope would be if there is something weird going on with Freemasonry, that, you know, there would be an opportunity to return it to its proper roots that aren't weird.
I'm not gonna lie. Up until the last like 3 minutes, I really thought Jobulon was something you just pulled out of thin air. Just
No, that's a real thing.
Yeah, no, that is shocking. That's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Freemasonry because it's a charitable organization that connects men within their communities and encourages them to be more morally upright and to contribute to their communities. I didn't join for weird cult stuff.
It's kind of crazy how there's so few of those types of communities that exist nowadays.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've seen none of it. I've had a couple of weird conversations with Masons who do believe some strange things, but it's hard to say what is their belief versus what is Masonic doctrine.
As a result of this conversation, Elena just gave us $50 more worth of PTSD money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I know we have more. That was kind of a diatribe. Let's get back to the Sebastian.
We do, yeah. So Allie for $5 says, in your opinion, is Sebastian more likely to be kidnapped and held by family, or like John Bonet allegedly was accidentally hurt and this is a cover-up by the family?
No, I think if this was the family, that it was purposeful. Chris Proudfoot, regardless of whether or not he did something to Sebastian, Chris Proudfoot's a piece of shit. I mean, history of abuse, adjudicated history of abuse, like, it's... He's been to court and he was told he needed to take parenting classes. He admitted on 2 occasions at least that he hit Sebastian with a belt and CPS was called. And at one point he said it only happened once, and then at another point he referenced another time it had happened. So clearly it happened more than once.
Yep.
Also, I mean, like, listen, I understand corporal punishment is something that people have varying opinions on, and I was spanked on a few occasions as a child, and I don't necessarily think that it was abuse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that spanking necessarily does qualify as abuse if there's a good reason for it. On the other hand, I'm not an autistic child with a chromosome disorder. I knew why I was being punished. I mean...
Yeah, I would say
Sebastian didn't. The explanation Chris gave didn't even make sense. He said he whipped Sebastian with a belt for not wearing a belt. Did Sebastian need to wear a belt, or did his pants fit without one? Like, I'm sorry, but you being like, no, it is proper class to wear a belt, and because you didn't, I'm going to hit you. That is not a valid use of force.
No, and I would also consider that given Sebastian's mental state, that would qualify as cruel and unusual punishment.
Precisely. Yeah, no, I guess it is apparently legal in Tennessee. See, like, I guess there's not like there's rules against unnecessary use of force or over the top use of force, but it doesn't seem there's any like not litigation, any law about what specifically is allowed.
Fair.
No, I read somewhere that like a single open-handed slap to the rear with clothes on is what's allowed. I haven't been able to find that, so I don't know where it came from.
I don't know, every instance in reality that I've seen of anybody using like physical pain as a punishment just seeds rebellion.
Often, yeah.
Yeah, like it does not do anything for the lesson you're trying to impart.
In my opinion, I think Chris enjoyed hitting that child.
Probably.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Hope in the Shadows, Gypsy Nilsson for $20. Thank you very much. Says, thank you for your professionalism. You both are awesome. What is your biggest challenge when researching a new case?
It's usually what the police have released to the public. I'd say it's one of two things. Either a lack of coverage or a lack of transparency. If nobody has covered the story, it's almost impossible for me to learn anything about it unless I can track down people and interview them, which is hard and I simply don't have time. As well, I'll have an issue where, like, I mean, for example, with JonBenet Ramsey, there is this blood stain that has unknown male DNA on it that matches the unknown male DNA from the waistband of the Long Johns. But as I understand it, that DNA was not found between the bloodstains, just in them. So the problem is a whole bunch of other DNA tests are publicly available. You can get them on Reddit. The bloodstains are not. I've looked through everything. I've yet to see any, like, firsthand, see anything saying that this unidentified male is a perfect match. Like, I have not seen the blood stain from the panties, the DNA they found there, compared to the DNA on the waistband. I've seen the markers compared side by side from one side of the waistband to the other, but not the blood stain. So, a lot of people were like, well, why won't the police release the blood stain to the public? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe the Ramseys won't let them. And of course, they're like, why? John Ramsey keeps talking about testing it. And I'm like, are you saying test it because your lawyers won't let them test it? And you don't think anybody's going to find that out like last time? Is that what's... I said it in a TikTok earlier this week, right? It was John Ramsey goes and does an interview where he talks about how he wishes the police would have tested things early on. And it was his lawyers going to the police and saying, don't test these things. Even your own friends didn't understand why you wouldn't talk to the cops, John.
An absolutely confounding series of choices.
Yeah.
If they're innocent.
Oh, yeah. Especially just left and right accusing every single person you know except for a few of them.
Yep. Yeah, it's honestly shocking.
I am disgusted.
Dixie Chicken 1969 for $10 says, thank you for keeping Sebastian's name out there. Praying he is found soon.
Me too.
And then that's the last of the current Sebastian super chats. Daddy Falker for $5 says, are y'all going to Albawitch Day this year? It's in Columbia, PA, if you want to do more relatively local cryptid things.
I don't know that I've heard of that. The term Albawitch sounds familiar. I'm going to look it up. Albawitch.
Also, Leah Thurling and Felix Brewer are relatively new members. One just became one, and the other has been a member for 2 months, so thank you.
It is a mythical ape-like creature said to live in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. A small, hairy, red-eyed creature that is 4 to 5 feet tall, known as Pennsylvania's Little Bigfoot.
I'm shocked we hadn't heard of this before.
The Albawitch's name is believed to come from the Pennsylvania Dutch term for apple snitch. I did get a book on Pennsylvania Dutch folklore for Christmas.
No way.
Let's see if it's in there.
Yeah, you should.
That would be a fun thing to go to. Where is the... Looks like it's held in October. Yeah, we can do that. Lancaster's an hour away. It's a nice, easy one.
Yeah, real close. And that also fits a question that somebody had asked. Let me see if I can find it. Somebody asked essentially if we wanted to do more on-location stuff. But I want to confirm what specifically that question was. Here's a fun one from the Sky King 5 saying, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, boys. What other cases have you covered that in hindsight you think the parents were more involved in? I feel like most of the cases that we've talked about do not particularly involve parents, so it's going to be a smaller range of cases, but I'd say the smiley face killer cases or some of the missing 411 cases may be relevant. I would say one that I don't think parent is involved in, just to rule it out, would be Garrett Bardsley. I think that is very much not parent involved.
No. I think his name was Kevin, his dad.
Yeah.
I just, never stopped looking for the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say. We haven't covered it yet, but Dior Kuntz is one that a lot of people have looked at and said that seems like it was the parents. I mean, thankfully, we haven't had a lot of cases where it looked like it could be the parents. One where I thought maybe something weird happened with the parents was Michael Reel, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Trenny Gibson. I don't think her parents directly caused her disappearance, as in I don't think they abducted her, murdered her, or anything like that. But I would not be remotely surprised if her disappearance, especially after the conversation we had with Nick, Missing Enigma, it was, if you're watching this right now, it was probably 4 episodes ago at this point.
About that.
But it's whatever the most recent episode with Missing Enigma is to this episode of the show. He dug up some stuff on Trenny that even we hadn't found, and it seems very likely that her home situation was not great. And that may have either made her run away or made her vulnerable to being taken advantage of. And unfortunately, I think, possibly killed.
You know who that reminded me of that we think the parents were almost certainly somehow involved? Evangeline Lorimer.
Oh, yeah. In a different way, though.
Yeah, like in a really unique way.
Yeah, like Evangeline Lorimer, it almost seemed like it was a planned disappearance in order to sell tickets to her father's Christian speaking tour. Her dad was I don't know what the right term to use is.
Christian grifter?
Yeah. Not necessarily even grifter. It seems like he was just kind of nuts.
Did you think he was like
he was put into a psych ward for like religious paranoia or something.
Yep, I'm remembering this now.
So I think he may have just been a little off his rocker there. This is the 50s, so a lot of different things that you could get in trouble for back then, I guess. Also, I mean, he also hit his wife with like a garden hose or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a great way to treat your spouse.
Yeah. Well, they got divorced after that.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying apparently a very easy way to get Chris Proudfoot on here is to mention his truck, apparently.
Chris Proudfoot's truck.
I would probably... Easy. Probably something that has to do with where it was, where it went, when it went there, how long it was gone.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Well, this is, we did mention Chris's truck, actually.
Yep, in the recorded video, yeah.
Because I went, what kind of man who works out of his pickup truck doesn't know what year it is?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Any man in America that drives a pickup truck knows what year the truck is.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could get it. You bought your pickup secondhand just because it was a good deal and you don't know. This guy worked construction. He knows what year, make, model pickup truck he has.
Yeah.
He probably knows the trim level.
Yeah.
He knows the trim level, in fact.
Yeah.
He has to. There's no way he doesn't. So, Chris, stop. Stop the lies.
Yeah, apparently he's very defensive about the truck.
I mean, a man like him probably needs a big truck to compensate. So.
Oh.
You don't go through 5 wives when you've got a big truck, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh. Man, I wonder if he'll show up in the last 7 minutes of the show.
It would be funny if he did. I'd just be mean to him. Like, if he actually comes on the show, I'll be cordial. But if you were to pop up in chat, I'd just start making fun of the fact that he can't seem to keep a woman around.
You'll make fun of him until he comes on the show.
Yeah. Or until he... I mean, maybe he's into that.
Bit different kind of show at that point, I guess.
The only lodge fans?
Yeah, the only lodge in the valley.
Oh, God. I don't like that. I don't like that one. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, obviously, Chris, we all know the reason that you tried to abduct your daughter through the legal system is because you couldn't handle a Latina.
Yeah, no, he did not deserve a Latina wife.
He just could not handle it.
Nope.
No.
Stick to the mild salsa, brother.
Yep. But hey, I mean, look, man, I'm sure with that E6 pension, you are loaded.
I can't. I
The
feel
other
bad.
Navy people we know who are in our Discord and whatnot hate you.
I feel
I
bad.
think you're a disgrace to the Navy.
I feel bad for other E6s.
Yeah.
Specifically.
No.
My wife for $10 says, not my wife, the username, my wife.
Yeah.
Says, how do
Or
we?
in Chris Proudfoot's case, my fifth wife.
My fifth wife, soon to be my fifth ex-wife.
Yeah.
Says, how do we feel about the special party John Bonet was supposed to have with Santa? I know BDI is the leading theory. Burke's interview mishaps suck. But David Pate has me reevaluating the case.
Not familiar with David Pate. I'll have to look into it. They cleared Bill Reynolds. And that was basically the only person So there's a couple of things. First of all, Barb Kostanek was a family friend of the Ramseys, and she, if I'm not mistaken, is the origin of the Santa Bill thing. That John Bonet told her there was going to be a secret Santa coming to visit. As far as I'm currently aware, nobody else heard John Bonet say that. And Barb did mention in interviews later on that Santa Bill seemed really creepy and weird. Meanwhile, Patsy gave him a hug after he spoke at the memorial service.
Yep.
Patsy also accused Linda Hoffman Pugh of being the murderer and then gave her a hug at the memorial service.
Yeah.
Which is not something you do if you think there's a genuine chance somebody murdered your daughter, Patsy.
It's the little, and look, you've covered this a lot in the videos, but this is one I want to emphasize when you go through all the videos that we have done and will do on John Bonet Ramsey, is it's all of the little details like that add up that make it seem allegedly that the Ramseys are responsible.
Yep.
Because it's like, if that was the exception of the circumstances, it makes sense. You know, it's a weird scenario. Things happen. People misunderstand things. People forgive. But when you add all of it up, it's just
layer after layer after layer.
Yeah, it's the worst lasagna ever made.
It's one way to put it.
All right, we got enough time for two more specifically because I want to read this one because I think you'll like it. And then how about you pick the final one that you want to answer?
I'm going to have to look at that screen.
That's fine. James Lawrence for $10 says, the book of James 5 in KJV goes unnecessarily hard when it comes to religion, profit, and the poor. Gets a lot done in a few verses.
Here, let's pull it up. You said James 5, right?
Yep.
James 5. Oh, yeah. Right, because it starts off with, come now, you rich people, weep and cry aloud over the miseries that are coming upon you. Your wealth has rotted, and your clothing has become moth-eaten. Your gold and silver have become corroded, and their corrosion will be a witness against you, and it will consume your flesh like fire. You have stored up treasure in the last days. Behold, the wages that were held back by you from the workers who reap your fields cry out, and the cries of the reapers have come to the ears of the Lord of hosts. You have lived self-indulgently on the earth, and have lived luxuriously. You have fattened your hearts in the day of slaughter. You have condemned, you have murdered the righteous person. He does not resist you. That's just the first 6 verses.
Yeah, that's insane.
It should be made clear that Christianity is not inherently anti-wealth. It is anti-being wealthy and then not being generous with your wealth.
Yeah. It's anti-selfishness.
So basically, the exact people being condemned by that are the Ramseys. Because, you know, they could have just given their housekeeper the bonus she needed for medical bills and rent, but instead they made it a loan.
Naturally.
$2,000, guys. $2,000.
Yeah.
We're a good God-fearing Christian family, but God forbid we spend $2,000 on our housekeeper. We only have $6 million.
Yeah, it's nuts.
God, I hate the Ramseys.
All right, last one because it just came in and it is relevant from Rachel508 for $4.99 saying, sorry you missed first shout out. Do you think besides Katie and Chris that trash weight was distraction or held weight to the case and our grandparents suspects?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Do you understand the question?
I'm assuming that there is a detail that we may not be familiar with about something in relation to the weight of their trash that was being brought into question.
I do remember something being mentioned about the trash bins being out, and I feel like I remember there being something about something being particularly heavy.
So maybe that's what it is, whether or not that might be actually legitimate, or that was just a distraction.
I'm not positive. Maybe she'll clarify. But
okay, she said it's a few questions. Trash, they said, was heavy, aka searching landfills and Sebastian taking it out. So one being, was Sebastian in the trash? Was that a waste of time? Or potentially was it relevant that Sebastian was the one who took the trash out? Another thing.
Well, I don't know where the detail about the trash being particularly heavy comes from. I know that at 15, I was strong enough to drag basically any trash can out, and I'd drag one uphill for like 15 yards.
Same.
I mean,
in middle school,
I was
dragging 2 trash cans up a like 100-yard hill to get everything up.
And
so
we weren't any bigger than Sebastian.
Oh no, I was smaller.
You were smaller than Sebastian. I was probably shorter and about the same size.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there would be any issue with Sebastian getting a heavy trash bin out. And I don't think that searching the landfills was a waste of time at all. I think that made perfect sense.
At the very least, it ruled it out.
Yeah, and it ruled it out because they didn't find him.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it was necessarily a distraction. I think that was good police work.
Yeah.
That was one of the things is when this first came out, I was like, it seems like the police have done basically everything they can. As it went on, it was the fact that they were avoiding really putting the pressure on the Proudfoots, despite the fact that realistically, they're by far the most likely suspects. And now we're at a point where I think it's very clear to everybody that this was not a runaway situation. I mean, there is zero evidence the kid ran away. Like, and there, I'll have some commentary on that in the video on Friday. But Sebastian did not run away from that home. He just didn't. Is an autistic kid who hated being barefoot and the cold. And he didn't, all of his shoes were there. Weird thing Katie wouldn't do is say exactly how many shoes Sebastian had. Probably because she thought, the police might make something of it, when realistically, if she just said the number, the police would have thought nothing. It was not saying the number that made it seem more suspicious.
Yep.
Yeah, so all the shoes are accounted for. The grass was wet with dew, and yet there was no scent from a boy who was supposedly barefoot. We also know that Sebastian hated the cold and hated being barefoot outside. Maybe the Proudfoots think that nobody else has experience with autistic children. I wouldn't put it past Chris to be that stupid. So no, I think checking the landfill was perfectly reasonable.
Yep.
I think that there's a lot that was done wrong here. I don't think any of it. I think the only thing the police really did wrong was not look closely at the Proudfoots. They should not have been allowed to leave town. That should have been absolutely out of the question. They should not have been allowed to have the house cleaned. I mean, like, the moment that call came in, considering what happened with JonBenet, the moment that call came in, it should have been the police cordon off the house. Nobody's allowed inside without a police escort.
Yep.
And even then, it should have been nobody's allowed inside without a police escort that has a camera. So, it's just so frustrating that 30 years later, we've learned nothing.
Yep. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight on Super Chats, but thank you to everybody who sent them in.
Yes, thank you very much. We do read them all. We just don't
read them all.
Necessarily answer them all.
Yes.
Because this is not a bad thing for us at all. It used to be that Super Chats were the only way we could fund the show, and now we get so many Super Chats that we can't get through all of them, and that is an incredible feeling.
Yes.
That is so helpful to us, and it especially in months like December where views are down always.
And expenses are up for the holidays.
Yeah, everything you enjoy about this time of year is a little backwards for YouTube creators.
Without a doubt.
So, yeah, I think next year we'll probably push a little harder on things like merch and coffee around Christmas time to make up for the lack of views. But yeah, I thank you everybody for being here. For those of you who might be new, welcome, and I hope you enjoy what we do here at the channel. And I really do hope we can figure out what happened to Sebastian. And I mean, there's a chance he's still alive. I hope he is. But if not, if I could achieve two things in my career right now, it would be if they are the people who did it, putting Chris Proudfoot and Burke Ramsey behind bars. If I can make that happen, if they are the ones who are responsible, and I can make it happen, that's my goal. Otherwise, it's to get to the bottom of what happened. I mean, realistically, that is the prime goal. Is find out what happened to these two people, and then, in any other cold cases we cover, doing the same thing. Never thought I would be doing this with my life, but I have a platform, and I'm going to use it. Hopefully for good.
So far
for good.
Yep.
Maybe just a little bit of evil.
Yeah. Just a little trolling.
We do a little trolling.
But nonetheless,
Right.
yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight, whether you're new or returning, and thanks for joining us on this ride, both through the Ramsey case and the Rogers case.
Yep. And hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and are looking forward to a very happy new year.
Be safe, have fun, and we'll see you in 2025.
See you guys.